Hello, my name is Chloe. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm bringing to you my July book haul where I have another 30 books to show you. So July was a big book haul month for me, and I think that's actually reflected in the fact that it was a very emotional month for me. It was a very emotionally disappointing month, let's say. So I decided to fill a few of my emotional needs with books. I also had a really lovely trip down to London to meet some of my BooKTube besties, so there were some books bought on this trip. But most of all this month, I've just received some amazing gifts from some of you lovely people. So let's get talking through the books, starting with BOOKSWAP books. I always talk about the website BOOKSWAP, but I want to just kick this off starting with a book that I got hold of in a Facebook BOOKSWAP, and that is Liar by Eilert Gundar Goshen. Apologies for not learning how to pronounce that before the book haul, but I promise I will by the time I read the book. So it says one mistake can have 1,000 consequences, but this is about Nofar, just an average teenage girl, so average she's almost invisible. Serving customers ice cream all day long, she is desperate for some kind of escape. One afternoon, a terrible lie slips from her tongue, and suddenly everyone wants to talk to her. The press, her schoolmates, and the boy upstairs, the only one who knows the truth. We're just going to leave it at that for now, but very cool cover, and yeah, happy to have my hands on this one. And then I got 4 books from actual BOOKSWAP. The first one being Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I was so happy to get a hardcover copy of this on BOOKSWAP. It's relatively new, it's absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, I have now read Evelyn Hugo twice, and I have read Daisy Jones and the Six. So I wanted to grab Malibu Rising as I seem to have loved Taylor Jenkins Reid's new stuff. I haven't delved into her backlist yet, but with the new releases, they're all ticking the boxes of at least 4.5 stars. So I thought this one might do as well. Next, I got one of my all-time favourites, and that is Done Dirt Cheap by Sarah Nicole Lemon. So I only got a copy of this because I have a signed art copy of this book and have been looking for a physical copy for a reasonable price for a very long time. So I'm going to be holding on to the ARC just because this is how I read it, but I managed to get myself a perfect condition hardback copy of this book. I'd love to reread it soon. It is such a fun time. It's a kind of YA/new adult contemporary about Tourmaline and Virginia and a biker gang. So it's good times. Thought it would be cool to film in my corpse hoodie, but I'm already sweating. Okay, next book is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. I know nothing about this. Again, still from BOOKSWAP. And I know it's a movie because this is telling me it's one of those fake stickers. That's all I know. So it says, a woman embarks on a road trip with her new boyfriend amid doubts of her commitment. They are visiting his parents' remote farm. When the two take an unexpected detour into a snowstorm, she is left wondering if there's any escape at all. That's all we know. It's a short book. Seems like it could be fun. And the final book from BOOKSWAP is one I've been keeping my eye on for a while, and that's It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. So I have now read 2 of Colleen Hoover's books. I've read Verity, which is my favourite book of the year, and I've also read All Your Perfects, which was pretty good. So I wanted to get another one of her normal romances to see what I think of it. Sydney has also got a copy of this book. She won my giveaway a couple months ago, so I bought her a copy, and looks like we're buddy reading it now. Okay, now we're going to move on to books I bought myself, starting with some charity shop books, one of which I've already read, and that's The Last House Guest by Megan Miranda. I read this pretty much instantly because I managed to get my hands on the audiobook. So I actually ended up getting 3 books in a charity shop for £1. So this was 33p. So I'm not too mad that I've already read it and I didn't love it. Spoiler alert for my wrap up. But yeah, I did haul it, so you know, but I won't talk about it much because it's going to feature in 2 upcoming videos. But the other one I got was The Secret Santa by Trish Hartenow, I think. But this one I'm obviously not going to read right now. I'm holding on to it for Christmas. I only have one Christmas book, which is a YA contemporary, so decided getting an adult thriller would be a good mix to my Christmas TBR, because I'm sure I'll be doing a Christmas readathon. Next, let's do the ones I bought on a random, very random Amazon purchase day. And that's because I got, I think it was like a £10 voucher, and I had to get my mom a birthday present. So I just thought, screw it, let's grab a few books while we're here. Most of them are like horrors. So the first one is Rules for Vanishing by Kate Alice Marshall. This is once a year, a road appears in the woods at midnight and the ghost of Lucy Gallows beckons, inviting those who are brave enough to play her game. If you win, you escape with your life, but if you lose, ... It's something more sinister than ghosts lurks on the road and not everyone will survive. I've heard some people talking about this and decided it sounded like a good creepy time. Next creepy one I got is The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher. Really don't know much. I love the creepy body as the eye. This says, when Mouse's dad asks her to clean out her dead grandmother's house, she says yes. After all, how bad could it be? Answer, pretty bad. Grandma was a hoarder and her house is stuffed with useless rubbish. That would be horrific enough, but there's more. Mouse stumbles across her step-grandfather's journal, which at first seems to be filled with nonsensical rants, until Mouse encounters some of the terrifying things he described for herself. So I've heard a lot of people like reading this lately, even though it's not a massively recent release. I'm checking my facts now. It is, it came out in 2020. Never mind, that's why I've seen people reading it. It's quite recent, but sounded creepy. The next creepy one I got is Little Creeping Things by Chelsea Itchiso. And to be honest, give me something with a doll on it, I'm going to be scared already. This says, when she was a child, Cassidy Pratt accidentally started a fire that killed her neighbour. She's pretty sure she didn't mean to do it, and she'd give anything to forget that awful day. But her town's bullies, particularly the cruel and beautiful Melody Davenport, have never let her live it down. In Melody's eyes, Cassidy is a murderer and always will be. And then I'm not going to read too much more because there is like a fair amount on the back, but sounds like some sort of weird teenage haunting manipulation-y kind of thing going on, and I'm here for it. The final random Amazon purchase I got is a faux love story by Lone Lee. I've seen this making the rounds. It's a very new release, and I think it was Heather from Bookables who I saw this on their channel, and I normally trust their YA contemporary recommendations. Isn't this just adorable as well? Like, it's just adorable. So Lynn and Bao like each other a lot. The only problem, their families own rival faux restaurants and hate each other's guts, so they have to keep their relationship a secret. But they can only steal kisses in dark alleyways and the art room at school for so long. Can their love transcend an age-old feud and heal the rift between these two families? And I just think that sounds adorable. I'm sweating, so I've had to open the window, so I apologise if there's any outside noise, but the corpse hoodie is staying. We'll take the noise. I then have 5 books from my trip to London to meet some of my BookTube besties. The first one I actually got without them being around, and that is Wranglestone by Darren Charlton. This one I have heard some really good things about. It is a queer YA zombie story. All I know is that there is some sort of like camp on a lake or across a frozen lake, and it's good because it's away from the zombies, but then the lake starts to melt. I don't know, I've been on a Walking Dead kick lately, so bought it. I actually got this one from Gaze the Word, which I do recommend anyone going to if they're in London. It was such a nice atmosphere. It was such a fun time. So yeah, got that one from Gaze the Word. Next, I have one I got for £1 from Waterstones, and that is Goose by Dorno Porter. So I have Paper Aeroplanes somewhere close. It's in my shelf somewhere, but Emily from Noval Novels gifted me Paper Aeroplanes, the first book in this series. So when I saw this one going for £1, I had to grab it, especially because it is signed. So yeah, had to grab it. Pretty sure it was cheap just because it's been on their shelves for so long, but grabbed it. Not going to tell you too much because I don't really know what Paper Aeroplanes is about, so I can't summarise ready for this book. But yeah, £1. Next, I have one that I was definitely coerced into buying by Rachel, and that is Olive by Emma Gannon. So just going on Rachel's recommendation, I believe this is about a woman in her 30s, just kind of figuring out life. And it's just, I'm assuming it's like a normal people doing normal things again. Olive is a love letter to the life raft of female friendship and reminds us how, with a little courage, we can all follow our own paths. And it just sounds so moving. Rachel loves it, so I own it. And now another one that I've already read, and that is The Appeal by Janice Hallett. So I wasn't going to buy this, and Rhiannon coerced Emily into buying it, and later on in the day, Emily coerced me into buying it. So I have already read this one. It's pretty chunky, and this is a mystery that is told in mixed media. So it's such an entertaining time. This one's been getting quite a lot of hype right now. A lot of people are reading this one, so yeah, I would definitely recommend it. Don't know why my voice just broke. Moving on, the last one I bought for myself this month is The Book of Baku, or Baku, I still don't know. I'm gonna go with Baku, by R.L. Boyle. Apparently this has made the rounds on the horror YouTube side, so maybe I need to find these people because this sounds so good, and I just kind of got it for the elephant bat, I won't lie. But this is Sean hasn't spoken a word since he was put into care. When he is sent to live with his granddad, a retired author and total stranger, Sean suddenly finds himself living an affluent life, nothing like the estate he grew up in, where gangs run the streets and violence is around every corner. It says Sean embraces a new world of drawing, sculpting and reading his granddad's stories, but his granddad has secrets in his past. As his granddad retreats to the shed, buried at the edge of his treasured garden, the Baku emerges. The Baku is ancient, a creature that feeds on your fears, and it corrupts everything it touches. Plagued by nightmares, with darkness spreading through the house, Sean must confront his fears to free himself and his granddad from the grip of the Baku. And elephant bat. I'm here for it. Next, the one book I got from a publisher, which actually arrived today, is Not Here to Be Liked by Michelle Quach. This one I had heard nothing about, but Tandem put it on a mail out saying, does anybody want it? And it's not a read along, it's just a read it when you can. So I'm gonna try and read it as soon as possible, but I know it's not gonna be August. But this is about Eliza and Len. So Eliza fully expects to be voted the next editor-in-chief of her school paper. She works hard, she respects the facts, and she has the most experience. Len is an injured star baseball player who seems to join the paper just to have something to do. Naturally, the staff picks Len to be their next leader, because while they may respect Eliza, they don't particularly like her. Eliza is not here to be liked, she's here to win, but someone does like Eliza a lot. Shame it's the boy standing in the way of her becoming editor-in-chief. And I just think it looks like so typical YA contemporary and like a big hug. So excited for this one. And then we're going to get into the gifts from you lovely, lovely humans this month. I actually might sit on the floor and get more comfy. It's getting a tad warm. Right, there we go. Standing up is fun and everything, but let's just chill. The first book I have to talk about is 13 Stories by Jonathan Sims, which was a gift from Claire over at Books and Ink. She reached out and said, was I interested in this book? I said, I definitely am, but I can't ask you to send it me. And the next week it was here. So she sent it over anyway. I was just about to try and explain what this is about, but I remembered I don't actually know. I can't remember at least. So this says, a dinner party is held in the penthouse of a multi-million-pound development. All the guests are strangers, even to their host, the billionaire owner of the building. None of them know why they were selected to receive this invitation. Whether privileged or deprived, they only share one thing in common. They've all experienced a shocking disturbance within the building's walls. By the end of the night, their host is dead, and none of the guests will say what happened. His death has remained one of the biggest unsolved mysteries until now. And it just sounds like such a fun time. I cannot wait to get into this one. Next, we have a gift from the lovely Becca. She sent me The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller. This one got a little bit of hype when it came out, just by being the author of Daughter of the Pirate King, which I really, really do love. When did this one come out? I feel like it's not that long ago at all. Oh yeah, 2020, so it is very recent. So this says, Alessandra is tired of being overlooked, but she has a plan to gain power. Number 1, woo the Shadow King. Number 2, marry him. Number 3, kill him and take his kingdom for herself. So I'm not going to read more than that. It's a very short book. I kind of remember that being the original premise, but this is just absolutely gorgeous. And again, thank you so much, Becca, for providing the joy that will be this. Next, I can't believe I forgot this was in this stack. This one makes me so happy to look at every time I see it, and that is Verity by Colleen Hoover, which was gifted to me by the lovely Jade. So as I've said earlier in this video, this is my favourite book of the year, but I read it on my Kindle and I just wanted a physical copy for my forever collection, so here it is. This is Colleen Hoover's thriller romance, and I just think it's such a masterpiece in terms of absolutely screwing your head up. So this is about Lowen, who is a struggling writer, and she gets an offer to kind of stay in the house of a very, very famous writer who has had a terrible accident and therefore needs help finishing her books, or like finishing the series. So that's all I'll say. It's a ride. It's definitely a ride. Next, we have a gift from the lovely Kendra, and that is The Lucky List by Rachel Lippincott. So this is by the same author as it's gone from my brain. 5 Feet Apart, which is one of my favourite books of all time. There seems to be a theme with this book haul. This is about Emily, who always thinks she's been lucky until her mom dies, and then she finds her mom's senior year bucket list. But if she wants to check everything off, she'll need help in the form of Blake. This is a pretty short book and I fly through 5 Feet Apart every time I read it, so I feel like this is going to be a similar situation, and yeah, it just seems like a lovely time. Next we have a gift from Nina, and that is If I Disappear by Eliza Jane Brazier. This is very similar in premise to, there is another book with a very similar premise and I can't think for the life of me what this is. This is about Sarah, who loves true crime podcasts. So when Rachel, her favourite podcast host, disappears from a small town in Northern California, different place, Sarah decides it's time to act. She heads to the isolated ranch where Rachel went missing, determined to discover what's happened to her. But the more Sarah digs into this unfamiliar world, the more off things start to feel. And it just sounds like such a fun time. I love true crime podcasts, so any book about a true crime podcast, I'm gonna dive on it. Okay, we're nearly there, guys. We're nearly there. I now have some gifts from the lovely Danielle. She sent me After We Collided, After We Fell, After Ever Happy, and Before by Anna Todd. And do we or do we not love Danielle? Look at this. This is mental. But yeah, this was a box set that was on my wish list, and in all honesty, it was there so I could track the price. I never ever assumed that any of you lovely people would buy it me. I mean, I never assumed that with any items on my wish list. But this is just madness. So I have read these 4 before, but I read them on my Kindle and wanted forever copies because it's such, I don't want to use the phrase because I don't think there is such a thing as a guilty pleasure, but it is a guilty pleasure series for me where I can appreciate that it's not that great. It really isn't. It started off as One Direction fan fiction and it's really not that great, but I absolutely love it. I've just noticed it says there's only one direction, follow your heart. Is that a coincidence or is that because it was One Direction fanfiction? Either way, I absolutely loved the series when I read it, so much so that I read After We Fell in one day, and it is nearly 800 pages long. So I'm so happy to be owning the physical copies. They are adequately floppy, and yeah, I've never read before, so can't wait to dive into this one. Next, we have some gifts from the lovely Leandra. She sent me Insurgent, Allegiant, and 4 by Veronica Roth, and these are in the lovely 10th anniversary editions, of which I have Divergent up here, so I was really happy to finish off the series. These are such a lovely gift because, again, I have read Insurgent and Allegiant before and never read 4. These 2, I just wanted the whole series again as a forever collection, and I feel like this is such a nice addition to keep all of them together. Like, the covers are just so much nicer than the originals. But yeah, I've never read 4, so now's the time. And the final gift, which again arrived today, I'm so grateful, and that is The Girls I've Been by Tess Sharp, and I got this from Tracy, so thank you very much, Tracy. I don't know that much about this apart from the fact it's about a girl who now is called Nora. She has a con artist for a mom. 5 years ago escaped and became Nora, who has a nice normal life in a normal neighbourhood. Until this morning when I found myself at gunpoint in the middle of a bank heist with my ex-boyfriend and my new girlfriend. Talk about awkward. So it just seems like a very fun YA. I don't even know what category you would put this in, but sounds like such a fun time. So there we have it. Those are all the books I hauled this month. It's made me happy, so why are we complaining? We all deserve to smile, and everybody's support this month definitely made me smile, sometimes with tears, but it's all good. So I just want to say a massive thank you again to anybody who sent me a gift this month. I do not deserve you guys, and I appreciate it so much. But on that note, we're pretty much at the end here. So if any of these books you have read and you feel like I need to read them absolutely immediately, then let me know. If you have any opinions on these that you'd like to share, please do drop them down in the comments. But that's really all I have to say. So thank you very much for watching this video. I really do hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.